Hello there, and welcome to episode 11 of the GitGud Painting Podcast. I am Bruce, and as always, I am joined by the very well-rested, definitely not sick, life is going great, Magnus. Magnus, how you doing? He coughs in the background as I intro him.
Yeah, everything is... if I sound a bit nasally, it's just because I am very stuffed. It's we've had a bumpy ride. We even talked about it last time that the sickness and the kids and the everything, and we've nurtured that thing.
You brought the infection into your household.
Yeah.
You gave it a home, and we thought maybe, I mean, we joked, but kind of thinking maybe at the back of our minds, what are the chances that by the time we next record, nothing will have improved? And it turns out, no. Turns out you can just keep getting ill.
Yeah, it's not really improved. I mean, it is improved in the sense that it has been much worse, and now we are... a baby had an eye infection, and then she was real sick. And when she got real sick, I got real sick. 3 days of fever, and that fever turned into a sinus infection. And so yesterday was the worst day for the baby. But today I got rid of most of that thing festering inside my skull. Baby was without fever and no more eye infection or anything. 2 other kids though, fever, and so.
But they're older. We've discussed
yes.
they can take care of themselves. You just shove them out into the cold,
yes.
feed.
Yes, a bit of some pills for painkillers and tea and a blanket, and I mean, like everybody else. No. Everyone is sick.
We're not making them record a podcast.
I even took the baby to the doctor, and he's like, I mean, nothing on the lungs, nothing on the heart. Bless her soul, she will be fine. I mean, go home. Everyone is sick.
Kind of segue a little bit into dad chat. That was always the thing that frustrated me, because Cora loves a temperature. She just adores it. She sits there like, you know what would be great? Just having a fever. That sounds wonderful. Now, she's older now, so that's okay. 8 years old, she can pretty much be like, hey, I'm not feeling too great. We can talk about it. When they're a baby, and they'll just be there, and they're thinking, I'm going to get a bit spicy today. I'm going to be 40 degrees. We'd always debate what to do, because you don't want to just completely bring the health service to its knees. But on the other hand, once that temperature creeps up to a certain place, you're like, we got to go. And I remember she'd had like a fever for like 3 days. And we were like, we have to just talk. We'd like, please, somebody help us. Because you feel guilty at the best of times being a parent, but then like it's worse when they're ill.
Yeah.
And so we took her to like an emergency appointment, and the guy just kind of looked her over and was like, yeah, it's probably something, but not really do anything. So all you can try and do is keep the fever down. And we were like, okay, we've been trying that for like 3 days. He's like, yeah, I know, but you have to keep doing it. Like you have to alternate Calpol and ibuprofen. Like you just have to, it lasted a week. It was it was so long, and at the end of it, and of course the kids always do that. At the end of it, they're just like, hey, I'm fine now. What?
I'm fine.
Why do you look so tired? Why do you look so stressed, idiots?
Completely. I mean, I will say that doctors said, try this. I didn't even know you could get that for an actual baby, but try this ibuprofen or whatever in kind of like a tube. So it's a bit sugary, and
little
she can
squeezy into the surface.
I did not know you could get that for a baby. I was like, oh damn. Well, what do you do now? It's pills up the ass and stuff like that, and
no need.
She's already
they love
angry.
That taste.
So they do. So I mean, and I will say this was the first time she ever had painkillers, and they worked a charm. They really
You've just
did.
been
because
saving her up. You've been like, look,
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
no
yeah,
tolerance for this. You're going to love it.
Yeah, exactly. So she got what was allowed, and it killed, not right away, but I'd say first one had it fever down, and second one 4 hours later just killed it completely. And
That's good.
yeah, so she was feeling great to the point where she wanted to scream at midnight for 30 minutes, and
Hell
then
yeah.
at 5 o'clock again for 30 minutes.
She had
So,
the energy to be like, my
yes, and I'm
my
like,
dad's had it too
yesterday,
good recently.
yes, yesterday you were sleeping. You were so cute when you just slept, but well, so
The
she's
energy
back
to be a
at
nightmare.
daycare, and hopefully she's brave today, and well, she can pick something new up from there, and
That's it. A new infection.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. We'll try that flavor too.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the flattening effect. As we were talking before, my wife used to work in a nursery, and you know, the kid pretty hardy, but both of them would bring home infections for me.
Yeah.
But my wife had this like superhuman immune system because she was surrounded by Nurgle's garden. That was A-okay for her. And then, you know, she would be like, oh, I have the sniffles. And I'd be like, oh, I'm about to get Ebola or something.
Yes.
Because if it's even affected her this much, I am dead. But now she doesn't work in a nursery. Now she's like a mortal. Now she will get ill more than me. And I'm like, this is brilliant. This is, full disclosure, audience, I do not want my wife to be sick. I'm just saying it's nice that she will occasionally get sick.
I mean, I have a wife like that. She's not working anywhere where you would be normally exposed to these things. But something about that immune system, or maybe it's, well, she's Vietnamese, so maybe it's just because she's always eating the thing she's eating and drinking the thing she's drinking or whatever. But she almost never gets sick. I think she's had like 1 day of actual sickness while I've known her. And I'm like, I've had COVID 4 times or something. She had it 0 times.
She's like, what are you on about, you weakling?
Well, yeah, and she's like, yeah, but can you just, I mean, don't, she's also the person to say, yeah, don't lie in bed because it will get worse then. And I'm like, yeah, but I will die if I get up. Dude, I cannot. Yeah, but you always feel worse when you're just lying around and sweating, and just get up and do some things. And
go to work, live your life.
I cannot. I am, well, but I mean...
Okay,
good for her, I guess.
Yeah, good for her. Don't piss off Magnus's wife. This is a lesson I am learning. It's just assume that she's going to come for you. That's that's fine. That's okay. We can live with that.
Yeah. So this is the state of things.
I was going to say, this is the fugue state that we are opening this podcast with. I shall put the COVID virus on the thumbnail. And that, people can just know, they're still ill. Little biohazard sign, that'll be fine. Yeah. But despite that, despite us both being ill, I mean, a lot of mine's self-inflicted. Like, I've just been partying. That's fine. Can't complain.
Yeah, sure.
Despite that, we've been having what I think we'd both class as an active community month.
Holy moly! Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which you may have gathered if you're regularly checking the channel and you see that there's a 90-minute awards ceremony for our 8-hour challenge. So, we knew early on when we started GitGud, like, we wanted challenges because it really beds in that community aspect, and also maybe it pushes people out their comfort zone. We try stuff, and then we have watched how both of those things have exploded. So give me your thoughts kind of about the month of the 8-hour challenge in November. What are you feeling about the whole thing? Yeah,
so we've had challenges going on from the start. And I think my initial thoughts around it was like, this will be a nice thing, a cool thing. People can kind of because sometimes we would be talking about anyways, oh, should we paint the same thing or same theme or whatever, and someone finds a bust and it looks really good and posts a VIP, and others are like, oh yeah, I'm really inspired, let's do busts, and others will jump on the bandwagon. So we thought, okay, we'll do the challenges, because then it's kind of timed and everybody kind of gets to weigh in on what would be the topic of painting, right?
Yeah.
Because we do vote for it. And it's a nice thing having 5, 6, 10 people paint the same theme or model or whatever it is. And then it turned into a bit more and a bit more and a bit more. And yeah, so last one we had, I think we had 32 entries, and we even had a few entries that were never like officially submitted, where people just wanted to try out what could they do in 8 hours and have some fun with it. So it was really overwhelming in more than one sense. One sense was poor Simon and myself.
Look, he knew, like,
having to.
You knew what you were getting into. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I did.
Simon's a hardy egg. He'll be fine.
Yeah. Obviously, he was fine, and we got through it. And I mean, it takes time, but it also, I'd say it takes time because it's kind of a way for me to know the people in community. So in the sense that sure, a bit of banter and whatnot, but we do talk about painting. Like when we look at the entries, I want to hear what the other person is thinking, and then we talk a bit about it, and so it takes much longer than, well, normal judging. If 2 regular judges were sat down and just like, yeah, this is a bronze, I think it's a silver because of this and this. Okay, we'll see, we'll put it in the maybe next one. I mean, that's not what's going on, because we also kind of use that time to, so I provide feedback on every entry. So we talk about what we see and the feeling about the model, and then I jot some things down and I use it for the feedback, right? So it takes a lot longer than
it takes a long time. Like, giving considered feedback takes a while.
Yes.
Giving considered feedback on 32 miniatures takes a while. And I think maybe that shows the growth to an extent, in terms of the fact, like, when we first started it, we thought it was a great idea. Bit of feedback and everyone that enters, no problem, I won't take long. I mean, in the early days, of course, it was closed comp. It was, you have bronze, silver, gold, done, easy. And then we were eventually like, well, we're getting a few submissions in, we should make this open, just to give. Then we can, celebrate more in the community. And then it's like, well, maybe we should have a best in show, because if people at the top we often ask to judge, and so it'd be nice to just have a singular judge. So then that's the best in show, and then we're like, well, we also need some commendeds because we're getting so many entries in. The end of, like, it is, and I think this is one of the things we talk about a lot in the Discord, in the community, is kind of like competition mentality, and there is no doubt that if you submit something and it does not get an award, it can be tough. It can be really tough. And sometimes, like, I think it depends on your headspace. I think some people submit stuff and they're like, you know what? I had a great time doing this. I'm not expecting anything. I'm just happy I took part and I got to, talk about my entries and things like that, because that's kind of the point of the community. But I'm sure for some people is, hey, I put this in, I didn't get anything, and that's not a particularly fun thing. And at the end of the day, this is a community-run thing, and while we want to reward the stuff that feels in that correct category, it's why we talk through every single entry to talk about the things that we like and hype it up and things like that, because it is important. And so I find that really interesting from a community management standpoint, in terms of the fact that, look, we want people to be happy, we want them to feel supportive, but improvement requires a little bit of pushing yourself, or like that hit occasionally of, oh, I got silver, I wanted this, or I got bronze, that's like balancing that is so incredibly hard. It's so difficult, and there are some people for whom It's I just paint. I have a great time painting. I don't need to take
Yeah.
part in competition, and I laud those people. And I also think that's why it's so good that we can have people submit stuff. But it's like I'm submitting it, but I don't want to include it in the awards. This is just for me. I don't need it in the framework of a competition.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say that it's actually my main reason for doing this. A bit of written feedback. It's not like it's extensive. It's not like it's a 4-page anything of. But I will always write out the things that I think really worked on the model, and then 2, 3, 4 key points where I think something could be improved for this one or the next project. In the sense that maybe people wanted to do more on it, or they could be over it, but at least then they know these are things that you could have done.
Yes.
And it's kind of important because it's the way we can kind of give back, right? In the sense that yes, we will need to award some people and not award others, because otherwise it doesn't matter. We could also just award everyone, and but then it would matter nothing, right? So it is. I mean, we don't want to make it something super exclusive or anything, but we also want it to be like, if you was gold, it was because you were in like that tier of the submitted entries, right?
Yeah.
For the month. But putting it every entry in a video, talking a bit about it, having a bit of feedback you can give afterwards is kind of like saying, okay, thank you. Yeah, well, you didn't get an award. It's not what we say, but it's kind of what we show. No, you didn't get an award, but we want to give something anyways, right?
Yeah.
So that's the reason.
And
yeah.
on the
Sorry.
On the other side of it is also this idea of, we have now had a few people who maybe when they first started entering stuff, they weren't even in the medals.
Yeah.
And now they're golding, or, now they're getting at that very high level, which, the mission of GitGud is ultimately to, yes, create a community, but to help people improve their display painting or competition painting or anything like that. And so when you have people like that who, hey, I'm improving, and I'm not, would never be so arrogant to say, well, they're improving because of GitGud, and we, people are improved because, no one improves because of other factors. It has to start with yourself.
They improve because they paint.
Yes, they improve because they want to improve and they paint, and that, seeing how that's then reflected, and then how those people will go on to enter other competitions, and I'm sure do very well. Like that to me is really exciting and interesting. And so. Yeah. It is often easy to think about the negatives of competition, but there are also some incredible positives there of just, putting their work out. As much as it seems that we like discussing competition daily, occasionally in the chat, whether it's making it fairer or doing something, or as if like there is some sort of perfectly fair competition that could possibly exist. I don't personally think so, but hey ho, it's a good debate to have. It's a good thought experiment. And
I will say another thing. I mean, it is really, really nice to see. Well, we had people going to South Wales for the con, right?
Yes, DiddyCon, the Swimmo, the South Wales Miniature
Swimmo,
Open.
yes, and people going from the community, getting medals, taking pictures with each other. Sharing, I guess, a bit more of the community, because it gets tighter when you meet people in real life, right?
Yeah.
And that is the thing. That is why I really like the competition talk, and what can I improve, and what do I want to bring to what and why. And even though it can be a bit, that horse seems to be a bit dead, huh? Yeah. It's just that people are talking about it because it's something important to them. And because it bleeds into the experience of wanting to do as good as possible, wanting to share it with the people from community that go. Have we had any competitions people went to where they were alone? Yeah, I think the Johan went to the one where...
Yeah, Johan went only because poor Carmichael was stuck in train hell.
But otherwise, people haven't been going alone, right? Yeah. They've been meeting people there, even just from community, right? Within our small circle.
And in many cases for the first time. Like, I mean, the first time
Yes.
I met Ollie was at MPO Bristol. And like,
Yes.
hey, I've been, hi Primaris. I know you from your handle and a few other things, but it's nice to meet you in person. Like, ditto for Simon. Ricky I'd met a little bit before. But yeah, it's super meaningful. I guess kind of quickly jumping back on DiddyCon, South Wales Miniature Open. I really feel for Diddy.
Yes.
I think that was a good competition. I want to make this really clear.
Yeah.
And I think Diddy embodies this kind of like, hey, I'm really passionate about miniature painting. I have taken it upon myself to create this.
Yeah.
And that is to be lauded. The poor dude just had bad luck with a UK storm, which when the UK is crap with weather at the best of times. And so whenever there's a storm, we all panic a little bit. But then it was kind of like a big storm, which affected a bit of travel. They shut a lot of motorways. So that did not help the attendance. I still think, I want to make this really clear, I still think the competition level is very high and the entries that I saw were fabulous. It's just one of the things that does prevent things from going. I was not stopped by transportation. I just decided to have a chest infection, which was, it was a thing. And the idea of kind of like
could have gone.
I could have gone. I could have made everyone ill. That would have been a thing to do. But I decided maybe not. And my wife, I think, if I tried to go, would have kind of like told. Well, she would have just let the.
No, I really liked that she was actually. You were like, yeah, maybe if I take this medication and then we'll see Saturday if I wake up and she's just like, absolutely no, dude, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
you are staying home. I'm not even discussing it. I'm not even entertaining the thought of it. You, sir, you're at home.
Yeah. This is it. The decision is made. You're done. Okay.
Yes.
Cooked. You are done. That's fine.
Yes. Yes.
So that was really sad. But seeing people from the community making it there and having a great time and talking about the standard competition, it really made it. I mean, number one, I just felt. I was like, oh, God damn it, I wish I was there. Like, that was really sad. But hopefully, I know potentially talk of DiddyCon returning. I think the more competitions, the better. I really hope it does. One of those timing things that can really suck for people. But yeah, seeing
I even looked at the tickets for
little flight over.
Yeah. I was like,
we'll get you in the UK.
Day, maybe I can fly over, and then it's, oh shit, this is a really early morning flight, and I would need to be at the airport. I would basically need to go from home at midnight or something like that.
And then be caught in storm winds, maybe not have been.
So I skipped.
We'll bring you over eventually. MPO, absolutely. Yeah. Bristol, make sure we get some tickets when they get available. But seeing that photo of Sean, of Alex, of Ollie and J-Pop, that, it's like, hell yeah. Like that's, and like everyone's wins are their own. Like I know I keep saying this, but when it's like, hey, the GitGuders took a shitload of awards, I'm feeling so good. And there's part of me, which is the selfish, dark half of myself. I want GitGuders to always be in the awards. I want people not in our community to see that GitGud logo and think, oh, these guys are rocking up. Like we're in trouble. That's the little competitive part of me that in terms of community management, I want to keep that down. I'm all about spreading that positivity, but that little part of me is like, we're gonna send some murderers, and they're gonna take home a haul of awards, and that's gonna be fun. I'm already feeling that a little bit about Adepticon. I'm like, these guys are going. We're gonna work on Scott. We're gonna convince Scott to come. We're flying over. We'll maybe get a few more people, and then we'll just be murderers at Adepticon, and that'll be great. Anyway, sorry, no one.
That is also the quickest way to be disappointed, though. So.
Completely, absolutely. But I don't care. I'm too plot committed. If you're not in our community and heard that, I of course want you to do as good as humanly possible. And I will always support you. You are wonderful. But I'll just bury that part of me. So we have been doing this. We've been having the 8-hour challenge. We've been having more challenges. We are knee deep in busts, so to speak, at the moment. People are painting all kinds of incredible work, some of which has already been submitted for the December challenge. And then January, we are sending our eyes further afield to Critters, which is a good tie-in with the wonderful Infernal Brush, Dave Perryman's Critter competition. So a little bit of a combined challenge. I have, he says, reaching behind him, I have my sassy Nurgling ready to go for the Critter challenge. I'm not sure I'll paint the Plague Marine champion that it came with it, but I got the thing that I wanted, which is the main.
Yeah, exactly. You got the important thing.
Yeah. The Critter, of course. Yeah, the Nurgle, dude.
I wonder how many people actually bought that model only for the sassy Nurgling, huh?
Everyone, like there is like a corner in Games Workshop where someone's there like, I'm pretty sure we only sold this model because of Rich Gray. Like I'm pretty sure that's the case. But the other thing we've been doing as a community is we've been doing a mini exchange, secret Santa of sorts of just, right, you're going to be like, number one, are you in? If you're in, you're in. If you're out, you're out. That's fine. If you're in, we're going to give you a name of somewhere in the world because it turns out we have a community that is spread all over the globe. And then you're going to paint something. Yeah, you're going to paint something for that person, and you're going to send it. And that's what we kind of started it in November. We did. It took me a few times to draw the names, but then everyone had their names locked in. And what's been happening, perhaps in the past 1 or 2 weeks, is those minis have started arriving. And oh boy, it's been exciting. So you painted something. I was waiting in the wings in case anyone dropped out, and that could still happen. I still have a mini that I would send should that happen. But if otherwise, like, it's been amazing seeing those. You've painted something. How have you found the mini exchange?
Yeah, dude. First off, I will say I'm not big into giving gifts. Or receiving, for that matter. No, it's true. It's I mean, the kids will get a birthday presents and Christmas gifts and stuff like that. Of course they will, but usually I'm not. Same with birthdays. I almost always opt out of it and go like, yeah, I mean, we can spend that money on eating a fancy dinner or whatever. Because I have the things that I need, mostly at least, and having to figure something that you need at a certain time is, I don't enjoy it really. Yeah. And it also kind of turns a bit into, okay, so I give you for this amount and you give me for this amount, and we hope we hit the mark in terms of what the other person would like, which is something I don't enjoy at all. If you want to give a gift, you should give it because you want to give it, because you think it's something the other person would like, right? So the whole idea of this being something really personal, because it's so hard for it not to turn into it, because it's something you painted yourself. And that was the main reason why we wanted it to be something you painted. You don't send any sprues or any models or boxes or.
Here you go, assemble it yourself.
Yeah, it's not because you have something that you're not using and you're sending it to the other person. That is fine too, because there are some Secret Santas that do these things, but that was definitely not what we wanted. We wanted people to paint something. Not even to their best ability, but within reason. Yeah. Paint something that you would like to give away. It doesn't matter the model, it doesn't matter the game or the anything, but paint something so it comes from you, right? And then sending it and receiving something similar. And frankly, it has been amazing.
Yeah, I think
it's the best gift I've ever given.
That's what. So one of the things I particularly loved early on is. A few people were like, it'd be nice, like, oh, if people could put in the chat, like, what kind of stuff they're into. So if I have you, I could paint something that you liked. And really quickly, it was just like, no, paint something that embodies what you like and you enjoy. Yeah. And that's kind of central to the gift. That was almost like organically decided by the community, it seems like. And I mean, my personal view is that a lot of these gifts are utterly priceless as a result.
Yes.
The things that I have seen arrive that people have unwrapped, I'm like, not only is this like, if you wanted to be a complete like non-emotional psychopath about this, you could be like, well, the miniature bought new is worth this much, and obviously it had this amount of time put into it. But it's complete nonsense, because it's like, well, not only has someone kind of prepared that for you and put a lot of love and care and attention into it and then painted it and then put their artistic soul into it.
Yeah.
They've sent that, they've just kind of, they send it off. Like, that's the other thing. That's the thing of gift giving is just, you have to let it go into someone's
yes,
like,
you really do.
Yeah.
You really do.
And seeing that has been probably the most emotional I've got in the community kind of since its foundation, its inception, is seeing all of those gifts unwrapped.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's amazing seeing, because it's also something where, kind of like, you know, when you paint something and you show your wife and she's like, that looks good, right?
Yeah,
it looks good, doesn't it? It's good. And you're like, yeah, it's okay, I guess. But I like the red. And, well, thank you. So it doesn't really mean anything. But painting something up and sending to someone that thing, that, because it means something to them, right? They can look at it and they think, oh, this is nice. Oh, nice detail there, right? So because you're kind of like playing on the same field, it automatically turns into more valuable things, I think, in the sense of what the gift is, right? So yeah, that's been the highlight for me, was that you get to actually share something with someone who appreciates it for exactly what it is, right?
Yeah, it's almost like it's a little bit of Secret Santa on easy mode, because like sometimes with Secret Santa you're like, well, what do I get this person? How well do I actually know them?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, at the very least, I know that this person is part of a display miniature painting community, and therefore I can narrow down what they may like quite easily. But I mean, it comes to something Arnau says in FAQ too, where he's like, look, with how my skills were at this point in my life, I thought this was the top tier paint job. And as I got better, I began to notice and see more things. And like, what you're doing is you're sending work that can be kind of properly critically appraised by someone. But then it's always in the context of it's a gift. And so it's just like, you're almost primed to just see everything that you want to love about it, because like, wow, look at this detail. Wow, like you get, and that is so special. And I think like that relentless positivity, it comes to this idea of how we talk and view our own work. So I'm going to caveat this entire thing by saying I don't necessarily have a solution for this. It's fine, and it's okay that it doesn't have a solution. But you know, we sit back day in, day out, and like one of the big things that people often say is, I did this, I'm not so happy, like this bit's not so good, or you know, oftentimes it's a bit more inflammatory, like, hey, I painted this, I think it's shit. And a lot of it is like, you know, you've got a group of like similarly skilled individuals being like, no, it's not. Like, if you're unhappy with this, you could do X, Y, and Z, but actually just like objectively it is good, because you only see the flaws in your own work.
Yes.
And we often like train people sometimes to be like, you don't want to talk up your own work too much, because you don't want to come across as arrogant or
of course.
Or I guess like the cardinal sin we view in the community is thinking you are better than you are. I don't know why we view that as such a cardinal sin, but like that's the view. And what shocked me so much is how common that is, because you know we've talked on this podcast, like certainly the post Golden Demon thing, like that was something that I was doing. I've stopped doing it largely, but then in the Rich Grey Discord, even he was talking about like, hey, sometimes I call things tabletop because I don't want to come across as being like, this is my best work or this is X. Like there's almost like I'm just going to hedge my bets a little bit and talk it down a little bit, because that's safer than actually maybe giving my sense of what I really think about it. And it's this exchange is like the greatest answer to that. Is actually when you look at it, most of the time people are like, I'm going to see the positives. I'm going to see the stuff I really like.
Yes.
I'm going to see the color selection. I'm going to see your personality and your soul. And you can talk it down if you want to, but I'm going to ignore you. Like,
Yeah. No, I sent that. I sent the bust to Josh after painting it, and I will say I quite enjoyed painting it too, which always helps when you want to do a good job. And so I enjoyed painting it, but my honest feelings about it was that I wanted to do a good job, not my best work, because I knew I can't put 200 hours into it. Well, I could, but it would be nonsense to put 200 hours into it. So I wanted to find it like, okay, what can I do? Let's say 30 hours or 35 maybe, or 40. I don't even know because I didn't time it. But how much can I do in that amount of time? And I want to do as good as I can. But I knew that, well, there were also some areas where I ran out of energy a bit or had to move on to something because, I mean, I can't be fretting over every detail. It was a bust that is, I'd say, is it it's probably the size of your palm without fingers. So it is rather large. So you had a lot of things or room to paint. And he wrote afterwards and was like, oh, thank you, it looks great. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, some areas I hope they didn't suffer because I obviously couldn't spend 200-300 hours on this. And he's like, no, nothing suffered, man. I'm so happy with it. And the idea that I almost felt a bit bad that I said it because I only really said it because, well, for me.
Yes.
Not for him because he didn't care, right? He looked at it and he was so happy about that whatever he got, right? So I'm really saying it mostly for me to kind of like, yeah, I think I did a good job, but no, of course I didn't do my best job and just did not care. He was not expecting, of course he did not expect someone to pull a Golden Demon trophy winning whatever and ship it away. That's not what this was about ever. So even like putting it into words afterwards, I felt a bit, there was really no reason. I don't know why I said it. Of course, because it was on my mind, because otherwise I wouldn't have. But I mean, really, sometimes there is no reason, and taking a big breath and maybe not saying it is better.
Like, there's almost this idea of like, look, you're allowed to critically appraise your own work.
Sure.
And my gut feel is that when people do that, their internal language is probably less harsh than they'll use publicly. I'll criticize, like when I'm painting, I'll be like, look, that's messy. Like you can tidy that. Like that's a little bit lazy, maybe. And you come back to it and you fix that up. But very rarely I'll be like, that's shit. Whereas sometimes I may have in the past been like, hey, I'm not super happy with this, or I'll talk it down. We're in like, it's just this weird thing that's baked into us in some ways. In some areas, I think like in this regard, Eric Swinson's a bit of my hero because he just like, he does not talk his work down by any stretch of the imagination. He's just like, look, I painted this fucking great. Moving on. Like I'm working on this. I've done this.
Well,
like
he also did. So
yeah. I mean, it helps that he's one of the best in the world, but there's probably a confidence that comes with that. I'm sure if you're Albert Font, you're not necessarily like, yeah, it's all right. Like you kind of know what you are. But I think there's a lot to be said in this like quiet confidence probably makes you better. And like I'm trying to like, I'm trying to imagine like one of the like classic oil painters being like, oh yes, this is my work, but I kind of cocked up this skin tone. It's like, no, we can just enjoy the art. We can just enjoy the work, and finding a way of talking about our like it's a challenge. And I don't like I said, I don't have an easy solution.
It's like I don't know why we do it here because let's say you were in a work environment, you have a presentation. You wouldn't say, Yeah, okay. So this is a bit of a bad presentation because I had to rush it last night because, well, the kid was sick and the dog puked on the floor and I had to make dinner and I was a bit rushed. So yeah, this is not my best presentation, but it's honest work, right?
Yeah.
So here it
boss,
is.
just so you know, I phoned this one in a little bit.
No, everyone is like, okay, here's what I got. Waiting for people to clap when you're done or whatever. Like, we always wait for everyone else's reaction. But in this thing, it's almost like you want to catch it beforehand.
Yeah. Hey, here it is. But before you critically appraise it, I hate it. It's shit. It's garbage. Yeah. What if you just put the work out there?
Yeah.
And let people talk, and and it'll be positive, it'll be negative, but you don't have to worry about it because, like, it is so weird, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not free of it. I'm not free of it at all.
Of course not. No.
I'm not. I do it sometimes too. I think I'm really, really trying to be better at saying these things I like. I oftentimes don't say, yeah, this is amazing. but I try to be mindful of saying, yeah, I think this really worked. I like how if you put that color and that color, it actually works, or whatever it is, right? So I am trying, though there are obviously also things where, well, because we're viewing, I'd say, most things through the lens of competition.
Yes.
I mean, we are already critical, right? Because, I mean, is this okay? We talked about things we're working on at the moment before jumping on here. And yeah, some of it, maybe it's not even good enough. And it's really, that is also flawed because why is it not good enough? You can bring anything.
Yes.
There is no bar. It's not like someone will say, yeah, but I mean, you need to be qualified. Otherwise, you can't compete here. So, and that won't qualify you. Get out. Yeah. That's not ever the case either, right? So the whole, is it good enough? I mean, is it painted? Does it occupy a space? Yeah, I mean, does it occupy a space where you might have something better? Then you can talk about, is it good enough? But otherwise, most people, if they aren't like representing a business or whatever, why wouldn't you bring it? I mean,
yeah, it's funny.
People want to see it anyways, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone loves a full cabinet, right? Everyone.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not the judges, but
well, that's a judge problem. Screw those guys. But I think that's the thing. Like you'll always come back to, like, would I rather see something or not see it?
Yes.
It's honestly that simple. Like,
yeah.
I think because I don't think anyone ever presents work in terms of like, guys, I have made this, now bow down before me. I have completed art. I know that there is no way that this could be improved upon. Ergo, if you can now crown me your king or queen, I will go about my merry way. No one has ever, as far as I'm aware, ever done that. No. It's always been a case of, hey, this is my work. This is a little bit of myself that I'm putting out into the world. Yeah. That itself is an act of bravery. Enjoy it. Even if it's not like, what do you think? Like, because sometimes like, hey, here's my painting. What do you think? It's like, here's my painting. Sure. Enjoy it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a vexing issue. It is so interesting in terms of our little world, and maybe it speaks to how like new this field is. How it speaks to, like how immature in many ways miniature painting as a hobby is. You know, in the grand scheme of like, you know, we talk about film and video games as like immature because they are still relatively modern creations.
Yeah.
It's really interesting when you listen to Eric speak on like. There's the interview between him and Roman, which is really good to watch. Like, check it out on Roman's YouTube. Mm-hmm. But like one of the questions there is like, well, who do you take inspiration from? Or I think he alludes to the fact that it's a question he'll never answer. But he's like, look, if you want if you want to take inspiration for miniature painting, your best bet is taking it outside of the hobby, because there's so much there. There's like a ripe world, and maybe we can take some inspiration in terms of like how we critically appraise our work and how we want it to be viewed and discussed. There is no way of kind of wrapping this conversation up in a neat bow, so I won't try. But I guess in that similar vein of entries, competition, full cabinet, MPO online is being judged, is being recorded, maybe has been judged.
I think it's being recorded, yeah.
Yeah, so they got Andy and Henry got a few entries.
Yeah.
Little, wasn't quite the 32 we had for the 8-hour challenge, but had a few. And so they've been cracking away at the standard entries. Eric and Dave have been slogging through the masters. Best friends, Eric and Dave. What do you think? Give me your MPO vibes. It's kind of like it feels like the last competition of the year.
Yeah, I think so. MPO is really, really free in the sense that the only thing it kind of costs you is that you might get away with something less than you think you deserved, which is 100% on you. So if you can, and it can be hard, which is why the whole talking your things down and create something, have fun, ideally, take some good photos, put it into MPO, let someone look at it and judge it. I think it's something where everyone can kind of celebrate or enjoy the same thing, because, well, no one is there. No one is at the show, and there is no preview for the subscribed or whatever. So everyone gets to enjoy or participate in the same thing. And yes, it feels extremely free. I think it's amazing that they released the gallery so you can scroll through and look at things and talk about it a bit. And, oh, did you see this one from that is in that category and whatnot. And huge props to judges taking on a mammoth task of judging all of that. And yeah, for free, because, well, it's part of the brand, but in the end, for me, it's free.
Yeah, it's part of the brand, but it is a mammoth task to take on without any, like, even, I think people forget, like, website hosting costs money. Storing photos online costs money. Having a lot of people check your website and hammer it and submit entries costs money. Like, there is, I will always celebrate the people that will put on competition, because I don't think it's easy, and I think you have to put a lot out. It's why I feel it's important to say that I think what Diddy's doing is amazing. But like here, same thing is, you're putting on a global challenge. You're putting a lot of your time up. You're begging other people for their time. Like, I'm sure it's not easy to be like, hey, Eric and Dave, do you mind judging 800 entries or something like that? Like, is that okay? It's bonkers, and to see that and to see it come together, I think is special. I think we should rally around it in the best way, which is like, hey, this is our hobby. This is something that we can put out there to the wider world to be like, when everyone enters, this is what it's like.
Yes.
And I think that's to be celebrated. I do, to come back on a previous thing you said, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I don't have expectations, because last year, MPO Online was like the first competition I touched, because I was still relatively new, and this was even before I joined Rich Grey, I think, or before I was active on the Discord. And I painted up some little things, and then I submitted them, and then I remember the results came out when we were kind of like Rich Grey, and I didn't get anything, and I don't think necessarily I deserved to get anything, but back then I did. I was like, hey, I done some good minis. These guys are good. I'm really proud of this. And then they got nothing, and then you're like, this is not a good feeling. This is pretty devastating. And then, like, obviously, it's been a year's painting since that. I'm like, I'm a better painter. I know I'm a better painter. I've got some good work. And so there's part of me was like, I just hope I get something, because not getting anything would be would be bad vibes. I know. So there's always expectations.
Yes.
It's how how you moderate them. I'm not there thinking this
or how you handle it afterwards, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's not that I do have expectations in the sense that I'm obviously hoping, but I'm also mindful that anything can happen, which means it's much more about handling the outcome afterwards than it really is anything before, right?
You put the Troggoth in, didn't you?
I did. I put that one, and I even put Dante into single because, well, it was two things that I finished.
Yeah. You're like, hey, I want these to be judged. Eric and Dave, come take a look.
Do it. Yes.
Jeez.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Judge
You
me.
have to.
Appraise my work.
Exactly. Yeah, and like everyone else, I do hope that they do really well, of course. But as I said, I am mindful that, I mean, they might like it, they may not like it. They might not like the photography around it. They might not like the colors or the whatever. So many things can happen. And I mean, so in the sense that it is free, but only if you can kind of handle the aftermath, good or bad.
The cost is on your soul, and that's okay.
It is, which can be something. So if you're really not enjoying that part, the I guess gamble, it's not a gamble really, but then again, kind of a bit at least, because there is a fair bit of subjectivity. I don't think aesthetics are subjective. So there are some things where universally people would find it pleasing, right? This looks good. Most people would, in their right mind, say this looks good. So I'm not in the boat that because it's art, it's 100% subjective. I'm not in that boat at all. But I do think there obviously is some percentage of subjectivity, and that's where the gambling part plays in.
Yeah, you just wait till you find out that Eric and Dave hate pastel colors.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so random. And I'll be doing a rant video then, how we should boycott MPO and all go to the Squidmore online one.
Yeah, this is it. There, right? Okay, we need more rant videos. This is what I'm learning. That'll be good for the engagement. I mean, you kind of preempted a little bit because obviously Squidmar's announced the Squidmar. It's not called the Squidmar Cup, but I just want to call it that in this moment in time. But a new painting competition there. There is obviously, a while back, there's Iron Skull is coming back. That was kind of a hiatus. There seems to be a lot of competitions like launching at the moment.
Yes.
And, someone that likes entering competitions, this seems like a really good thing. So is this maybe a sense of a healthy, flourishing hobby? What do you think?
I think so. So first off, I will say another online one, amazing. Because of the availability, right? Not everybody is going to be traveling because, well, it costs money and it takes time, right? So, well, if you're close by, maybe you will. If you are aspiring something, maybe you will. But it is kind of, lots of people are barred from going just because of travels, right? Whereas online, it seems that, I mean, if you can do a decent photo setup, you're already good to go. And so another online one is, in my opinion, really good because it kind of cracks the door open for like competition. And I almost said real competition, but it's not that this isn't real competition, but I mean in-person competition too. Because being kind of hooked and doing well or whatnot can at least lead you to go deeper.
I'll always be biased because I like the community aspect of the in-person, but I'm sure we can organise like a watch party for the MPO results and things like that with community. But it's certainly like when we've been speaking to the American contingent within the community, it's understanding that for them that it's like you can go to an LGS and enter a competition there where there's a high chance you'll clean up. You're someone like Rudy, you go there, you ruin little Timmy's dreams, you take best in category in everything you enter. Or then your only other option is like Adepticon or Nova. No, they have Nova Open, and like then you're paired with savages because everyone in the US is seemingly like going there. Everyone in North America, so there's no middle ground for you. Almost, it's like you're either murdering children or you're then competing with the best of the best. And something I think Eric has spoken to is how that American scene is really flourishing. It just needs a bit more competition. It just needs a few more. And so like the picture based, the online competitions are, I think, really useful for that, and also help a lot of us Europeans who can be a little maybe disparaging of the American crowd, be like, oh no, these guys are sick, these guys are good. And that's not to mention the crowd across Asia who typically enters these competitions and we're like, oh god, these guys are murderers. What is happening? Like,
imagine going to Crystal Brush, huh?
Yeah, there, as we've said many times, there are levels to this game, and it is exciting seeing some of that. Like, and also like, there's the selfish part of me. It's just like I just like seeing good minis. I just like seeing
That's the thing, right? Yeah, and I absolutely love the whole idea that people display their work. Others kind of like the competition can be tough, but it's something for us to talk about. It's something where people do work, they share it, and we talk about it, right? So it is really, really good for engagement. Not only like putting out videos and stuff like that, but just talking, because we will often be sharing Instagram links for whatever inspired us during the day, right? So we have a full channel for it with tons and tons of references or whatever it is. And this is kind of the same, but on a bit of a bigger scale, I guess, because it's displayed to everyone, not only within a circle of us. I really enjoy it. Every time it's competition. It's hard to say competition season because it's all year.
I was going to say, it turns out it never ends. I say this.
I think, was it every month they on the compendium updated the calendar, and I think next year it's almost every month or something like that. Maybe.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Shouts out to the Golden Demon Compendium for putting that together, because it is a really useful resource to be like, what should I enter? Turns out there's quite a lot that you can throw down to. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at I have my countdown to Adepticon. We have 106 days, just so you know, just so I can put that evil within your soul.
Yes.
Whew. And then then it's the next competition. Then it's going to be Salute in April, and then it's MPO, and then it's like there is always going to be a comp. And I think the thing I'm learning is there's always going to be an opportunity to look at some wonderful work, and isn't that just exciting? Yeah. But I guess then on that, like, you can only enter a competition if you have an entry. So what are you painting? Have you, because Trogoth's done. Trogoth's capped off. What has been occupying your brain? Yeah,
I've been painting that Blood Bowl Chaos Dwarf as something. Well, I wanted to paint something red, seemingly like everyone else.
Yeah, very popular. Red is the go-to color, it turns out, in December.
Yeah, it turns out. So I wanted to paint that one off. I think we talked about it before, that I kind of had the idea and then I backed out or was like, I'll see in a week. If I still think about it, I'll get a box. And then I couldn't get the box because whatever. And then in the end, they restocked it and I got it and I got to paint. And it's something I started, as we've talked about before, I started everything as potential. It could go into something.
Everything could become something, absolutely.
It could. If I really enjoy painting this one, I'm still very undecided. I don't think it will, because there's something to be said about wanting to. Well, you need to have something to show. So if you only put a Nurgling on a base, probably not the model to stick out the most, right?
Well, let's not disparage the fine Nurglings.
Yeah, so it's just that there are, when we talk competitions, you need to think about, is this something you want to have your shot with or whatever, especially at Adepticon where you only get one entry per category. So now I'm thinking, okay, maybe I let that dwarf be joined by maybe a couple of other guys, and I can do like almost like a small unit for Blood Bowl or whatever. But very undecided.
Okay, so you're waiting for a message from the Eldritch ones.
Yeah, I mean, I have the next model lined up for video. So this one will be wrapping up this week as I do the last video.
Yeah.
And and the next one is going to be a Necromunda Ogrin or whatever they're called.
A Necromunda Malstrain Coalescence.
No.
I have now spoken to a few people that have put that model together, and all of us are like, this is the goddamn worst thing I've ever done in my life. Like, I thought I liked this hobby. Turns out, no.
Not this part, not that specific model on this specific part. Yeah. So I'm no, I'm not doing that. I think I want to paint something blue, like real blue, this go around. So I'm thinking blue armor, and I haven't thought about weapons or anything yet, but I can get into it, and luckily it's so that you can mount some things afterwards on the whatever. So yeah, that's the next one, something blue.
So what? What have you? I mean, classic fuck up corner. What have you learned in your recent painting journey?
Yeah, one of the things that I have learned actually is that I think I'm starting to like the bit bigger stuff better. Yeah, I never thought it would be like that, but it turns out that I sit most comfortably around, well, I'd say not much smaller than Primaris Marines. And for me, it's okay if it's like 20%, 30%, 50% bigger even.
Yeah.
I don't want to do massive things. I don't want to do large feathered wings and whatnot.
The one, I know I keep referencing that interview, but it's when, like, what is it like? What do you not like painting? And Eric's like, I don't like big wings. I'm like, oh, yes, there's another one.
Yeah, all of us think that. We hate those big wings. Yeah, so not massive things, but things that are a bit bigger. I think I'm enjoying. And now I've done the second bust. I will definitely be doing more of that because it feels like, because of the scale, you can sink a ton of time into it and do it really neat and really clean and like you would on something very small. But because it's bigger, you don't lose the readability as quickly.
Yes.
So you can be a bit more, let's say, free.
Yeah, I mean, it's very. I view it as really artistic in a true sense. Like the when I'm kind of ripping my hair out doing like gold trim on a Space Marine. The trimming that looks good or it doesn't look good, and the margin for error is small. Yeah. Whereas as soon as you're on a bust, there's a lot I can do here. There's a lot I can just be a bit more freeform with. There's a lot I can kind of push. Like there is something about that form factor that is really pleasing to paint. Yeah. I have been cracking on with my Blood Angel Captain, which I'm really really enjoying. I think initially I was like, blue has spoiled me. Those Ultramarines blending out that blue, getting it smooth. It was work, but it wasn't necessarily the hardest thing in the world. It was just kind of a case of like knowing what to do and how to apply it. And then red appears, And red is like, you know what? Screw you. I'm gonna be a color that's kind of crappy with coverage, but then occasionally I'll be amazing with courage, and I'll give you horrible shadows that you then need to smooth out. And and highlights, you have to work up to them achingly so, otherwise it'll look pastely and garbage. Good luck with that, buddy. Off you go. And so a lot of patience I have learnt with this Blood Angel. And I think coming back to a conversation that you and I had, when I was like, hey, when you're doing like small, tiny, non-met gold, like how do you change your approach? And you're like, it's a good question. I do this, this, and this. And it was really slowing down some of that stuff and being like, look, this is going to take a while, and that's okay, as long as you're happy with the end result. So slowing when I've needed to, taking my time on parts. I'm a little bit not worried, but this guy's in quite a few sub-assemblies. And so like making sure that that's brought together neatly and looks good. Like I've just really got the cape to do. And then the base, and then I can begin to put it all together and then go through the critiques. But learning the benefit of patience has been really beneficial, I think, in terms of red. And also, I think within that, I nearly started a bust because December, bust challenge, and I have a bust I'm really excited about. I have 2 busts, actually. I have 3 busts because I have my spirit as well. I got a lot of busts that I'm really excited to paint. And I nearly started doing 2 projects at the same time, and I stopped myself, and I was like, no, I'm just going to do 1 project at a time, and I think that's going to get the best out of me, and that's okay. Like, I'm not going to feel guilty for not entering a challenge this month. I'm going to work on this competition piece and really be glad of that. So I think that's also a lesson I've learned is, the idea of multiple projects at once maybe sounds tempting, but actually maybe not for me.
No, it depends on the kind of, I guess, person you are, painter you are, if it's something for you or not. And it also can depend on the project. Yeah. I mean, in the sense that I will oftentimes have more than 1 project. So that means when I get a bit of my own time, I can paint on something that isn't for a video, or that has at least expired in a video sense. Yep. So I can do some, I guess, more relaxed painting.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So I do that. But I will say that when I painted something like the Trogoth, I also knew that I had to stick with it. Don't paint anything else. Don't start anything else. Up to the point where, okay, now the dude is done. It's about the base. I can now look at something else because I was afraid of getting too far away from it and kind of losing that focus. It's something, it's hard to put into words, but you can kind of lose a bit of focus or not be that inspired by the work you're doing because now you're on to the next shiny thing. Yes. So sometimes the project, at least for me, commands me to, okay, I need, if I want to finish this, I need to do it and not start something else. Otherwise, well, it will be lost for the ages.
The whip pile forever. And that's it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it and so much weeping.
Don't look at it. If you don't look at it, can't hear you.
Yeah.
I've also been delving back into a few of the Citadels as well, which, I'm a little AK fanboy is what I am, but there are a few in the Citadel Reds that you can't necessarily find anywhere else. Nope. So diving back into a few of those when necessary. And then I guess just to do a shout out, I have my painting handle from Worn Bristle Studio, WPS, which I backed that Kickstarter. No one's been sending me free stuff. They know their worth. But I backed this Kickstarter when it was released, and the stuff started arriving, and I've really enjoyed this. I think the guys have done a really good job in terms of a handle that really works for me with this little doohickey on the end. So I think it's one of those reminders that there are people out there in the community doing cool stuff, and it's probably well worth supporting them when you get a chance.
And especially it's something where we spend so much money on all kinds of things, right?
he says,
So-
looking at his Chimera paints that he bought in the background.
Well, everything. The models are expensive. We buy much more paint than we will ever get through, and then you buy a Dremel. Did you need it? No, I'm
Yes.
going to use it. Hopefully, I mean, it's just okay. So I have an airbrush. No, I actually have two. No, three. Do you use them a lot? I do a base coat here and there. I mean, it's just the fact that we amass so many things. So sometimes backing something just for backing it, it's okay too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just handy when it's great as well. Yeah. Useful.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So we've been painting, we've been learning. I do want to I want to do a little bit of a community shout out in terms of like general community, because it really struck me like it's the time of year for a little bit of Thanksgiving and things like that. But you know, when I and I'm sure you've posted this, like when I posted like, hey, I'm ill, I can't get to DiddyCon and that sucks. Like a lot of people reached out and were like, that sucks. Like, you know, people don't have to do that. I'm never minded that people owe anyone a response, but you know, hear people like who just reaching out, talking to me, that meant a lot. I got my Christmas card from Froggy PhD, who I met at Golden Demon. She's really nice and has Twitch and YouTube and all kinds of things. But little Christmas card makes. I mean, I've been sending some Christmas cards out as well to weirdos in the community. But it's just one of those things. I'm like, this hobby's pretty good. It's pretty goddamn good at the end of the day, and we're a small group, but we are quite fiercely interwoven and tight knitted, and I think it's very easy to lose sight of that when we're getting lost in the drama of the day or something like that. So I wanted to call that out, because I think this community is pretty goddamn good at the end of the day.
It's sometimes it almost feels like one of those, you know, those holes in the ice where you can get your head up and take a breath, because you're like life, work, your day, your ill, your family, your everything. And then you can pop in there and you can say, this was another shit day. And people will be, well, tell us about it, and we can talk some miniatures too.
Yeah.
So it is really only what you put into it, but it allows for you to put basically whatever you want into it, right?
Yeah.
So the floor is really low, but the ceiling is incredibly high.
Yeah. And if you're ever, you know, if you're ever in need of that support, if you ever want to reach out, please just do it. I mean, I kind of a lesson I learned quite quickly is you can just talk to people and they'll respond and they'll be nice.
Yes.
Weird how that works. But yeah, if you're on the other side, like, hey, I don't have a community and I'm really struggling, but I saw this Instagram post, like just reach out. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Because people, by and large, always want other people to succeed, unless you're a bit of a monster, in which case you probably don't. But that's fine. I don't care what you think. Any other big business, Magnus, or is this?
No, I think that's a perfect wrap up on this one.
Community is good. We have talked about doing a talks episode coming up in terms of a review of the year for us. I think it's fair to say that 2024 was quite hectic for both of us. I mean, we started GitGud this year. And we've all learned an awful lot. So actually doing the time properly to take away like what we learned, what we painted, what we've taken inspiration from, I think be a really good one. So we'll try and get that booked in when we can. Otherwise, community bits, as mentioned, we are doing a bust challenge. It is, you'd have to be a pretty quick painter, but it's still doable if you want to join and paint a bust in the next 12 days over Christmas. You know, maybe you really hate your family. That's okay. That is open, and then we've just concluded voting, so we're doing critters for January, and then we'll also have the January vote. It is just there's an awful lot happening. There's an awful lot of weirdos who you can come connect with, but please do. Obviously, if you're watching us on YouTube, we have our Patreon. GG Painting on Patreon, also the YouTube GitGud Painting on YouTube. Instagram's been very active, so follow us where you want. Obviously, there's Magnus Mektig on Instagram and Bruce's Painting if you'd like to follow us there to see the kind of weird stuff we're working on. But I think for now, that's a good episode. Magnus, please don't get ill anymore.
I'm trying.
You'll try. And then for the rest of you, goodbye, and we'll see you soon.